Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of Hivemind Vanguard's podcast. We're a little short on members today, so today it's just going to be me, Klaus, and
Nem, the only two you really need.
yeah. Also, if anyone didn't even know before, we're actually twins.
Yeah.
So it's probably only even just one person, but whatever.
Been talking to myself.
So I didn't go to the tournament on Friday, but you did.
I did.
Yeah, how'd you do?
I did okay. I did fine. We had a 13-person turnout at our locals, and I went 2-1 and got third place. So in our locals, top 4 gets prizing. So if you go X1, you're pretty good. So
Okay, cool. So what did you play against? What were you playing?
I was playing Royal Paladins, the best deck in the game. And round 1, I played against Spike Brothers. I had actually lost to the same person the previous tournament that I played, so winning 2-1 felt really good. It was a really close 2-1. Every game I just tried to rush really hard. Game 2, I played against Ducky, and he was playing Kagero, and he was just getting the most unlucky hands and G-assisting every game. And it was a really quick 2-0. Well, we talked about it, and we always have really good casual matches. We have good matches on camera. We have good matches when we're just playing normally. But in tournaments, is just Ducky just gets so unlucky almost every time against me, and he's a good sport about it though. So, and the last round I played against OTT, and it's kind of an unwinnable matchup because as opposed to Kagero, where they only get 3 attacks, I get 3 attacks with no sentinel restrictions. So the hand was just able to overpower me in multiple Imperial Daughter.
Yeah, what can you do? They stack all those gifts.
I
So
still like Royal Paladin, though. It's so good.
you played against Spike Brothers first round. Even though you won, do you think that Spike Brothers is still just better blasters right now?
The thing about Spikes is that they've got a lot of pressure with the one that calls from top of deck, Spike Bouncer. But Blaster Blade has that extra crit, and I just go like a beast and just throw down all my units most of the time just to try and get that pressure on. So
Okay, so this was the first tournament that we've had Tachikaze, Spike Brothers, and Mega Colony, right?
yes.
So now that we've got 7 decks in the format, more than 4, we're going to go and run through our thoughts on every single one since you've been in a tournament with them and we played tons of casual matches and testing. So let's just kind of see where we place all of them in the meta. So we'll start with Tachikaze. I know you lent out the Tachikaze deck I ended up building. How did that go in the tournament, and where do you think it stacks up in the meta?
So there's a player in Imaginary Goddess named Mercenary King, and he was the one that used Tachi, and he was the one that got first place with it. In retrospect, I would have really rather ran that, but want to see. The build was the exact same build that is currently on our clan overview right now, and it definitely worked. I will have to ask him about his matchups later, but I know he played Kagero. I know that. But he said all the tech choices were good. He played OTT as well, I believe, right? Yeah, okay.
Excel matches versus the editor. He loves them. He was the one who lost.
It's okay. Hey, I mean, what can you do? But yeah, the tech choices work perfectly, and I'd put it at a solid, probably the lowest of the tier 1 decks. I'll get into my overall ranking later, where I think like at a hard spot where all decks place. Spike Brothers, I've played against them twice now in tournament. So actually, to correct, this was the second week with all the decks legal, and lost against it with Kagero, won against it with Royals. They are very volatile with Spike Bouncer. If you rip a Bunny or a Juggernaut off the top of your deck, that's insane early game pressure. I really do like Spike Brothers. They definitely keep a little bit of less hand advantage, but they hit really high numbers consistently. Also, Unite Attacker in the Kagero matchup is really clutch.
Yeah, the problem I just see the problem is Protect clans just destroy that deck. Like,
absolutely.
You stop Seafried, there's not a lot you can do.
Absolutely. All
right, so what do you think about Mega Colony?
So I played it against it casually once because I don't know if anybody's brazen enough to really run it in a tournament, but it's clunky. It's really clunky. I see some people trying to run Jocular. I say it doesn't really work out. You try to go for the Antlion Phantom Black combo. They usually save the right cards in their hand to counteract against it. It's hard. It's
You
really
discard
hard.
3 cards for that nonsense. Like,
Really hard.
yeah, I was running through a lot of statistics for the deck. The one thing that Mega Colony can do better than every single other deck is, without extra draw triggers, they have the power to get 2 or more grade 3s to their hands, statistically more than any other deck.
The thing about that though is when you're looking for early guard power, if you got a bunch of 3s in your hand, it does not really help you. Sure, you get your ride consistently to 3 and you may get your correct ride, but you're just going to get destroyed early game.
I will say that the Spark Hercules and Stag Beetle is a disgusting combo. I just wish there were better cards it worked with.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go into a little bit now of like where, like, let's construct our own tier list. So you can start, since you were mentioning it with Tachi's before. We can, I don't want to say we can even do all 7 if you want, but because it's not a lot of clans.
Would you like to start top to bottom or bottom to top?
We'll go top to bottom.
Okay, so this is my personal opinion. It seems to line up with most people's opinions, though. I tend to. I mean,
it's not a hot take.
You've played against me in Vanguard a lot. You know that I kind of play by the book a lot. So, Tier 1, I would say, also in order, OTT, Kagero, Tachi from top to bottom. So the reason why I put OTT above Kagero is even though Kagero has the technology for the OTT matchup, OTT does better against just every other deck.
Yeah.
Them being able to stack triggers, them being able to retain card advantage, them being able to get the protect gift. It's disgusting. And there is a reason why it's hit strides in both standard and premium. Kagero, the one that has like the most retiring power, and Waterfall being a universal annoyance to every player in existence, really, that it has a lot of good matchups. That's the thing about Kagero. It has no bad matchups currently. And then Tachi, if you have a clan with multiple attacks that is also able to keep hand advantage, then it's just automatically good. What you'll find is that the clans that are able to excel are the ones that can do things outside of their classification. Like Tachis are an excel clan, but they get really good hand advantage. Or Kagero has some of the Sentinel restrictions that Protect clans are stuck with. Or OTT can reach a lot of the numbers with Deer that like Force clans can, albeit for like a little bit. So that would be 1, 2, 3. And then for tier 2, so I only have 2 tiers. Cards, decks that are the best and the rest of them. I put Spikes and Royals are at the same spot, depending on what you value more. I'm going to rate Spikes above Royals because of Spike's consistency to throw out large power columns and the ability to close out games a lot better, because Spikes can close out at any point if they got open counterblasts, but Royals, you need to see Soul Saver. And then we got Novas. It's just Novas are decent because they have a good OTT matchup. That's all. And then Mega's at the very bottom for how clunky the deck is.
Yeah, okay. I pretty much have everything in the exact same space. The only difference is I would take Novas and Mega Colony. I would take those and I would throw that into a 3rd tier for myself, because I don't think that they can even compete enough.
I'd say Novas can a little bit. If I were to define a tier 3, I think I would just put Megas by itself.
Maybe, yeah. And maybe with King of Sword and Queen of Heart, which we can use now because of the promos, maybe those make it slightly better. That's a deck that I need to play and I need to test out in tournaments. And we did, of course, have that top in Japan. So
if the crit build gets more popular, I can see it competing a bit more with more clans, yeah.
We see this triangle, and of course this kind of explains why OTT and Kagero would still be at the top, of course, which is OTT has no bad matchups, but it loses to Excel clans barely,
yeah.
And then so it's just,
it definitely has a harder time against Excel, but once again, that's the reason why I say you would want to play Novas. You want to play the deck that beats the best deck. And that's what I said about Royals. Royals is not tier 1 because if you beat every deck except the best deck, it's not the best deck.
And it's all about representation of what you think is going to top. Because it's like no one's going to run Novas if you know that people are going to run Kagero also.
In our locals, the 2 locals that we go to, they're really Kagero heavy. So playing Royals is not really a bad decision because you're not going to run into OTT that often. You kind of just hope they get weeded out by Waterfall players early on. At least that's my strategy anyway.
So, yeah, I guess the kind of tiers is, so we got Kagero, OTT, and then Tachis, and then Spike Brothers, Royals, Novas, and then Mega Colony.
Yeah.
Where do you think that the next 3 clans are going to fit in? Roughly.
That's going to be tough. So
Deep Police would definitely be somewhere near the top.
I'm gonna put Deep Police like where Spike and Royals are for the exact same reason that Spike and Royals are where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put Grand Blue at tier 1, but I'm gonna put it near where Tachi is because they have really solid finishers and really good advantage on the field, but not in the hand. And then Aqua Force, it's better than Nova's, so I'm gonna put it where Nova's is, but slightly above. But we've got yet to see. So if I had to define a tier 1 now with the Japanese results with Asia champions, I'd put OTT, Kagero, Tachi, Grand Blue, D Police, Spikes, Royals, Aquaforce, Novas, Mega.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Aquaforce, Novas, and Megas at the bottom because those are the 3 decks that are the most luck reliant.
Mm.
Because your trigger chests have to be good, their damage checks have to be bad.
And you got to have the right combo pieces.
Exactly. So it just seems like whatever simplest and strongest works.
However, I will say every deck can steal games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So.
Okay, so this past week we had a lot of card of the day reveals.
Well, past 2 weeks because
it's been a while. Week. So we last anime episode we were able to see the Dueling Dragon Zanbaku combo. We were talking about we would want to review how they work once we got the costs.
And we got the costs.
All right. So let's just get straight into it. We've got our screen share. We're just going to look at all these. So we'll start out with Dueling Dragon Zanbaku. That's the main Murakuma unit. Now, I'm going to say as a disclaimer, I haven't really chosen a clan that I want to play. I haven't super committed, but after seeing these effects, I want to play Murakuma.
Right on.
This is some disgusting stuff. All right. But anyway, so it's active as a Vanguard once per turn. For a Counterblast and a Soul Blast, you search your deck for up to 1 card with Arrestor in its card name. You call it to rear and shuffle your deck, and this unit gets power plus 5k until end of turn. And additionally, if you have right Arrestor and left Arrestor on your rear guard, which are both grade 2s, your opponent cannot ride a grade 3 or greater from a grade 3 on his or her next ride phase. So let's break this down.
So first off, what I'm noticing here is because it's all one effect. So if you search one of the Arrestors, you need to have the other Arrestor on the field. Additionally, your opponent cannot ride a grade 3 or greater from a grade 3. So you cannot lock your opponent on 2.
Right. And this is an Excel unit with a superior call. And for a Counterblast and Soul Blast once per turn, so you don't even have to replace a Zanbaku to use this ability. If you have enough Counterblast and Soul, not even thinking about the other effects of this deck, you could deny your opponent an imaginary gift for the rest of the game.
Yes. We have yet to see if they get any form of counter charge and soul charge.
Right.
But if anything, if you have not soul blasted for the rest of the one, like for to use Million Rat skill, you're looking at 2 to 3 uses.
And the games only last 2 to 3 grade 3 turns, unless we got a few outliers. So
right.
I would say ridiculously good for a boss monster, and because I'm the type of player who likes control, of course, from playing Link Joker, this is something that's very interesting to me. And it doesn't really stop the opponent from playing unless you pay a heavy cost, which we'll go into for the next card.
I'll break it down real quick. The things that this kind of prevents. It prevents Deer because your opponent can't stack 3s.
Right.
It prevents rewriting Waterfall. It prevents Soul Saver if your opponent wasn't on it already. Unless
stops Imperial Daughter.
Stops Imperial Daughter. Stops Great Dayusha. Well, it stops Great Dayusha because it's harder to get to that 45,000 power. It doesn't stop it completely, but it definitely prevents a lot of the technology from happening, like stacking your force markers. It doesn't really stop Grand Blue because you can use Romario's skill on ride to take a 3 to your soul, so you can soul blast that later with Franger. But
yeah, not to mention the clans that this doesn't work against are the ones with once per turn skills. CEO Amaterasu, King of Knights Alfred, and Baskirk, as you were saying. It's not as strong, but the opponent will not have extra gifts to work with.
Correct.
Which I would say is the least hurtful to Grand Blue, because if you don't, you might not even rewrite Baskirk for these games.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go to the next card. We'll go to the right arrestor and left arrestor that make these combos work, and we'll go into why there's more even full control with the higher cost. So for right arrestor, it's a grade 2, 9,000 power. When placed, if your Vanguard is dueling Dragon Zanbaku and you have another rearguard with arrestor in its card name, cost Counterblast 2 and put a card from your hand into your soul, choose one of your opponent's Vanguards, and that unit cannot stand on your opponent's next stand phase. So this card, for a Counterblast 2 and a card into your soul, ridiculous cost. You'll probably only do it once per game. And I have to mention that you just have to have another rearguard with arrestor in its name.
So if you have right, you can call another right.
Exactly.
2 right hands. A little awkward.
So when you're running with this combo, right arrestor is the one that you're going to want to pull from your deck, most likely.
Oh, absolutely.
So what we were talking about before is you will probably deny them a gift 3 times. You may only deny this stand once. So it means that your opponent doesn't stand, they don't ride, and they don't get twin drive from when they attack, of course.
It really depends if you try to get the kill with Musashi. So when you use both skills, you have a 2-turn window to work with. The turn that you're currently on and the turn after, because you got to use a lot of resources for it, and you're not denying them anything afterwards. So you just gotta plan ahead. You gotta look for windows to kill them.
Right. So there's not much to say about this. I mean, it's an effective Counterblast 3 and a Soul Blast for this Vanguard control, but
And a card
from
your
your hand. Yes. So we'll just have to see if the rest of the deck keeps up with this. We don't really know. We know a couple more cards, but we'll just have to see. So we'll go next to left arrestor, which is as a rearguard when it attacks a Vanguard. If you have another rearguard with arrestor in its card name, for a Soul Blast 1, it gets 5k until end of battle. So for a Soul Blast, it's a 14k. So that's not too bad. We've had a lot of 14k units in Excel clans.
You're probably just going to boost with it and not use the soul charge or the soul blast cost for real, because you could use left arrestor deal with an interceptor, but you want to keep that cost for your Zanbaku. However, with right arrestor skill to take a card from your hand to the soul, that is a form of soul charge, so you'll just have to just see if you can spend it or not.
I would rather this card have been like Cut Bull or Iron Killer, where the 5k's for free if you have right arrestor, but
whatever.
You know, yeah, it's not too big of a deal. You'll probably not run out of souls. So the last card that we'll do is, this is one of the cards that we will see if the rest of the deck can keep up with the control that it gains. So it's Twin Swordsman Musashi. It's a grade 3 with an Excel gift. As a Vanguard or a Rearguard, when it attacks, if you have more Rearguards than your opponent, until end of that battle, this unit gains power plus 5,000, and while your opponent calls Guardians from his or her hand, he or she must call 2 more at the same time. We've seen this effect a lot, and I keep on thinking of intercepts.
I really do like this because it's free.
Exactly. And as long as you can clear out their intercepts, you make your opponent ask a lot to get rid of this.
Which, like I said, with left arrestor, that's kind of what you'll probably do.
So overall, what do you think? I just think that there's a lot of really good control involved with this deck, but I want there to be countercharging. I want it to be worth it. I want there to be offense too.
This seems like the deck building with this is going to be very similar to Tachi, where the deck is so like xenophobic in the stuff that it needs to work, where you're going to run 4 of every good card basically, right. And that's just going to be the deck. It's going to be so easy to build it.
What do you think about triggers?
8 crit.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about front triggers, but you just want to be able to crit the opponent.
Front triggers are for the luck reliant multi-attack decks like Novas and Aquas. The thing about it is that they already make good numbers with Musashi and Million Rat anyway.
Right.
So you're not really looking to get a lot of pressure on your opponent with fronts. Musashi with 32 1 crit or 2 crit, I'll tell you, I think the 2 crit's always better. So I bet you we are going to see 8 crit variants.
Yeah, it's with Kagura being the best force playing out there at the moment, No TT being the best protect, Murakumo having a good matchup seemingly against these 2 decks right now. I want that deck to be the Excel deck that fits this triangle that we've got set up.
Right.
I don't want Excel clans to just be, bottom of the barrel. I want it to compete.
Right.
So I will definitely be picking those up, even with just those 3 cards. I don't have to see the rest of the deck. I already like it, but we will see. Next, we'll go to what you wanted to run, Dark Irregulars. So we'll start out with the first triple rare that got revealed for us, the grade 1, and this is a complicated name, but it looks like Vrokalikas.
Vrokalikas.
Rogue Holocaust. Okay. So it's a grade 1 with 7,000 power. It has a first auto ability. When it is retired from Guardian Circle, you may soul charge 1. And another auto, when it is put into your soul during your card's ability, if it is your turn, one of your vanguards gets power plus 10,000 until end of turn. So I'll let you handle like what you think about a lot of these cards, and especially how some of them can fit in standard or premium.
Yeah, and I can probably read them off as well.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So this card is nuts in both standard and premium, because as you'll see with Rudvin, which we're going to go over shortly, you'll be able to tech it from your damage zone or your drop. It's just it creates a lot of early game pressure because you can use the guard with it early to try and mitigate early damage, and then just throw it in and just force a lot of pressure on your opponent.
Okay, cool. All right. And of course, you're running 4 of it. You will see it somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So next we'll go to the grade 2.
So we're going to go to Blood Sacrifice Rudvin. It's auto rearguard. When placed, put up to 1 card from your damage zone or drop soul into your soul. And if it was put from your damage zone, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone face down. If Rogue Holocaust is put in your soul, counter charge 1. So it's free if you grab one from your damage zone, and if you grab it from your drop, you just counter charge. So it's really good. And in premium, I don't need to tell you all the shenanigans we can use with this. Guard with a Jaeger, throw Jaeger in your soul. Guard with an assassin, throw your assassin in your soul. Just choose anything from your drop in your soul. It's ridiculously good. Or if you're for some reason still running the new Shararat, you can grade 2 turn, take whatever you want from your toolbox in your drop, put in your soul or damage, and then you'll be able to grab it when you do stride skill. I know we don't go over too much premium content, but as one of the decks that I've been running for a while, I'm super excited to see interactions in both formats.
The only thing that would have made this card perfect was if it was a Vanguard effect too.
Yeah, for sure.
We'd be your Berserk Dragon.
Oh my gosh, that would be incredible.
All right, so next let's go to, it's kind of the pseudo finisher. Demon Eater got a retrain, so it's grade 3 with a protect gift, so go for it.
Yeah, so it's grade 3, 12,000 protect gift. Auto Vanguard, when your Guardian is retired, you may put that card into your soul. And then Vanguard Rearguard, when it attacks, cost Counterblast 1 and put one of your other rear guards in soul, draw a card, and until end of battle, it gets power plus 10,000. And then cost Soul Blast 10, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand. So it's definitely, as a Vanguard, it's good. I don't know all the other options because we're gonna get Death Anchor and we'll probably get one more.
We do
option.
have Ghoulish Despoiler, which we'll go over.
Right. I could definitely see you running this. The only problem is I don't know how much this deck turbo soul charges. I could see like maybe Doreen the Thruster like taking all the cards, putting in his soul. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, and Doreen the Thruster isn't revealed, but if it is,
the best thing I can see that you can do with this is if you throw a Roll Calacalis into your soul, you get a 10k. So you'll get basically a 32,000 Vanguard as a booster.
I do like that you can take the cards from your field and put it into your soul and draw to gain advantage. So if you're against a matchup like Kaguro, you can mitigate some of that a little bit.
Yeah, we'll just have to see what other options we have. So we don't know what No Life Death King Anchor does, but we do have another grade 3, which is Ghoulish Despoiler with a protect gift. So.
Yeah, it kind of looks like Balam. He's also a grade 3 12,000 protect gift. Auto Vanguard, when placed, Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 2, and return up to 1 grade 2 or less card from your soul to your hand. So if you ride Rudvin, you don't get skill. Use its skill, Counterblast 1, Soul Charge 2. So you counterblasted, take Rudvin, call Rudvin, take Vire Coalesce from your drop, put in your soul, countercharge. So it's free. It's free.
And a plus 10k to Vanguard.
Yes. So then Auto Vanguard, when it attacks a Vanguard, if your soul has 10 or more cards, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it, and this unit gets power plus 10,000 until end of battle. So when we're looking at backup grade 3s, this one certainly works a lot better.
This one's at least closer like the CEO Amaterasu type.
Yes.
We don't know how feasible it is to get 10 or more first turn, but
we'll have to see. Yeah. I guess it just depends on how many of those early soul charging units we get.
Also, you choose which rearguard to retire, not your opponent.
A good trend.
All right, so we'll go to the other two.
Werebear Folger.
Yes.
So it's a grade 2, 8,000 power, auto rearguard. When it attacks a Vanguard, counterblast 1, soul blast 1. This unit gets power plus 2,000 until end of battle for each card in your soul. So what's really nice about this one is that late game, when you have a lot more cards in your soul, its power is going to be insane. So if you do decide to run this card, I could see you either not running Demon Eater or attacking with Demon Eater after you attack with this.
I would think 4, because if you have, it's similar to the Skull Dragon and Grand Blue. You have 10 cards in your soul. This is already 28,000.
Mm-hmm.
You're already asking for more than a 15k shield from a Force Clan.
You do need a counterblast to get that consistent power, but hopefully with Rudvin,
the main
it's not an issue.
will.
Because if you keep calling Rudvin and then you soul blast your Viracolass out and then you keep popping it back in for counter charges, might be feasible.
And especially because we only have, 2 to 4 grade 3 turns. And imagine if you heal once or twice a game.
Right.
You'll be able to pay the cost quite often.
Right.
All right, this will be the last one, this grade 1.
Yeah, Werewolf Freiwilliger. It's a grade 1 8k. Cost, put this unit in your soul. Soul charge 1 and one of your units gets power plus 5k until end of turn. I can only see this being good if you are able to call it for free. Otherwise, you are straight up neg wanting yourself for a 5k.
Yeah, this is it reminds me of Petal Fairy from OTT. It's just like, because Petal Fairy, you throw into your soul, you scry, and then it's a plus 5k. So it's like, it's just literally better.
I think we're going to get a lot of other sources of soul charge, so I don't really see that one really working out.
So what do you think overall?
Overall, I'm really excited. They're really keeping close to their gimmick, and I'm hoping that we get just being able to cycle with Rudvin and Viracolass to get just continuous powers early game, and then hopefully with No Life King, we're going to get a really good finisher.
Okay. So next, and we talked last time about a lot of Shadow Paladin units, and we got all the reveals from the structure deck, but we're probably only going to talk about the 3 that we think are the most important.
Right, because we kind of have a little bit of an idea overall, beside from not getting Phantom Blaster Dragon yet, about how there are similarities and there are differences from Royals, so we can just go into the Dark Dictator right now. It's a 13,000 force, continuous Vanguard. During your turn, it gets plus 2,000 for each of your rear guards. So what's really confusing about these design choices is that Shadows is just looking more like Royals every second.
With bad retire. I call it bad retire.
Bad retire. So it has an active Vanguard. Once per turn, cost counterblast 1. Call it to 1 grade 2 or less card from your hand to rearguard circle, and that unit gets 5k until end of turn. Your opponent chooses one of his or her rearguards and retires it.
Bad retire.
Bad retire. I choose Promised Daughter. I choose...
It's so easy to just play around this type of effect. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and not to mention, it's like, wasn't old Alt Miles stride skill like free, and this one like costs.
Yeah.
There are certain cards that if it's called by a card effect, it'll gain an effect, or if it's called, but you can just
think about think about Alfred Early. Think of its counterpart from the last trial deck. For a counterblast, you get the 10,000, the draw, and a free Blaster Blade if you wrote it grade 2, which hopefully you did.
Right.
It's just better in every way, because I don't count that retire being very good against the opponent if they know how to play around it. If they're an Excel clan, sure, everything that they lose is important.
If I'm playing Shadows and I'm running this card, I'm going to make sure it's a common copy of it rather than a triple rare. Just saying.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hopefully I'd just be running Phantom Blaster and Babtkar.
Buy car.
Do you like my car? All right, so let's go to the next triple rare in the AL4 set. This is Darkness Maiden Macha.
This is when it actually starts to look pretty good. So it's a grade 2, 10,000 power. Act Vanguard or Rearguard. Cost Counterblast 1 and call a grade 1 or less card from your hand to Rearguard. Draw a card, and this unit gets plus 5k until end of turn. It's solid. I think it's really solid.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just that hard to just give them a good generic effect.
Who knows? So it'll pair well with the next card that we're about to go to, which is Black Sage Karen, another retrain of an 8k vanilla, grade 1, 8k. Auto Rearguard, when placed due to your ability of your card, costs Soul Blast 1, Countercharge 1, and this unit gets plus 3k until end of turn. So if we look at the interaction with this card and Maka and Dictator, we get a 15, 23, 26k lane. If it's just Maka and Karen on the rear guard or Vanguard, or with Dark Dictator, calling Karen, essentially giving Karen the 16k, being a 16k. So Karen makes the deck really good, but once again, you're going to need to hard draw into it. So we're just going to have to see.
Yeah, and it's like with all of the weird blaster cards that retire is like most likely we're just going to see the most generic Blaster Javelin draw, Matcha draw, Charon call. And then if a Phantom Blaster Dragon is probably a retire 3, we're just going to get the most vanilla superior call draw build.
Plus 10k crit, no Sentinel, whatever.
I would love 15 to 20k, honestly.
If there was a Sentinel restriction or if there wasn't.
If there was still.
Oh, God.
I'd be okay with it.
Oh, God. Multiple force markers on that. It's pretty good.
So overall, it's once we get the full picture of Phantom Blaster, we're probably going to see the most generic stuff that we'll want to run in this deck.
It's looking a bit better, but I still think it's inferior to Royals, especially at this point. Phantom Blaster Dragon has to be really good, because even then, if it's slightly better than Royals, we get Exculpate in November. So
exactly.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see.
All right, so let's go to the last clan of the AL4, the clan that I would say that we care the least about.
Well, so we had Walrus on the podcast last week.
Yes.
And she plays Pale Moon. So we don't
we
don't have too much information on this. We're probably going to get a lot more next week because we got the reveals in the anime for what a little bit of what the VR does, Golden Beast Tamer. But since we don't have the effect for that, we're not really going to go over it too much. It's what we saw. It was a counterblast 1, take a card from your hand, put it in your soul, take 2 cards from your soul, call them separate rear guards.
Yep.
Can be pretty decent. So we're just going to go into the first one right now. Nightmare Doll Alice, one of the most beloved cards of Pale Moon, for sure. Grade 3, 12k. Excel. Auto Vanguard, when placed, call up to 1 Workeroid from your soul to rear guard, and that unit gets plus 5k until end of turn. So you can call, I believe Jill is a Workeroid.
Jumping Jill is a Workeroid, yes.
So, and then auto rear guard at the end of the battle that it attacked, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, put this unit in soul, and call a card other than grade 3 from your soul to rear guard. So still kind of the same as Alice was before, except we get some extra power. It has a Vanguard effect, and we're probably just going to get those Alice Midnight Bunny combos that we're so used to from classic Pale Moon.
I have to say, I really, really like this card. The one thing that I like about Alice is it's an ideal first ride if you had a Workeroid. And if you go into another Alice, you get that other Alice out of your soul right away.
It's really good. So the deck can function really well no matter what you ride. I think in any build, you're going to probably see 4 Alice, 4 Beast Tamer, just guessing really early.
Another thing I do want to mention, and I kind of had to mention this about Nova Grapplers, is one thing that I do like is the Workeroid restriction. So one thing that a lot of card games have a problem doing is future-proofing. So say you have Alice that calls Workeroids. If you have a busted Pale Moon card that you don't want to be called out too easily, don't make it a Workeroid. Same goes for some of the hero restrictions that we would see in Novas in the future, possibly.
Right.
And that's just something that I kind of liked. But since we were mentioning Jumping Jill, let's go into that one.
Yeah, it's a grade 2 9k, once again, Workeroid. Auto rear guard when placed from soul. Cost, counterblast, put 1 of your other rear guards in your soul. Call a card other than grade 2 from your soul to rear guard in the back row. So what's nice about Jill is that if you've got it on your left or right, not Excel circle, but your regular circle, you can throw one of the units in that you already attacked and call a boosting unit from your soul, making it over 12, 13k. Yeah. This deck seems to pressure really well at 5 damage, just like a lot of the other Excel clans.
Yeah, obviously, if you have a counterblast, there's a lot of things that you can do. The only thing that I want to see out of Pale Moon, as opposed to the other clans right now, is Aquaforce and Novas suffer because there are a lot of 9Ks on Excel circles or 14Ks on just regular rear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything right now, and of course, we only know 3 or 4 cards, that changes the trend.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Jumping Jill able to put boosters into soul that have already been used to throw out another booster, but that lane needs to make it over 23,000 for it to matter. So it just depends on the grade ones that we get. That's how we know what good Jumping Jill is.
If we get a grade 1 that like gets to 14k power, then it makes it a 23k lane. That's the
Rocket
dream.
Hammerman's the only card that comes close.
Yeah, so we'll just have to see if they even get something close to that.
Yeah. And the last one is a grade 3 no gift.
No gift. No gift, no run.
Yeah, Comicality Chimera.
Auto rear guard, when it attacks, cost Soul Blast 1 and put another rear guard into your soul. This unit gets 5k until end of battle, and if you have not countercharged this turn, countercharge 1. Oh look, you minus yourself and it doesn't have a gift.
This card sucks.
Yeah. Feels bad.
Well, so that's all we have right now for the card of the day reveals that we've been getting. And I think even with what we've seen right now, few cards per clan, I think they will definitely make their mark in the meta.
I think so. If I had to do really early guessing, I'd put Shadow Paladins, probably lump them with the rest of the Force clans.
Unless Phantom Blaster's busted.
Pale Moon, if from what we've seen, if they do not keep good at hand advantage, I'm going to lump with Novas and Aquas. And Murakumo, I'm going to probably see it as low tier 1, being able to deal with most threats, but I could see this deck just simply being overpowered.
It could be Rogue, and a lot of people might not be prepared against it.
Yeah, and then darker regulars, they've got really good rear guards, but what's going to make or break them is their Vanguard. I can't really accurately gauge them right now. So, but we're going to find out more later. So we'll have a more better idea in the podcasts and content to come.
Okay. Well, so for some final questions that we're going to do to wrap up the entire podcast, we will be getting a Japanese ban list, and we're not sure if it's for premium standard or regular standard yet, but we will be getting it on the 14th, so in 2 days. So what I'm going to ask you is, what predictions do we have for the ban list, or what one card or combo would you like to see on there?
We want to do one card from each, from standard to premium standard.
Sure. If let's theoretically if they do both.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with premium standard because we were able to catch the finals of the ARG Nationals for Vanguard just probably about a couple hours ago, where famous YouTuber Living Proof took it all with Spike Brothers against OTT Gize.
That was nuts.
It was insanely close match, and the back and forth between damage denying, GB denying, it was insane. It was such high level play. I can't help but be impressed and interested in premium again. That being said, the one card in premium standard I would get rid of is Neon Gize and Gize. The reason why is because it just makes matchups so polarizing. So in a nutshell, here's what you have to do to play against Gize. You need to not take any damage the entire game. The entire game. That's how you're supposed to.
If you have no answers against their 0.
And I'm not even going to say that Ikishima Tom should get banned, because that Gize, first off, is a better variant than that variant. None of them made top 8 in that. So, if we're just going over that like base, yeah, it is broken. Don't get me wrong. But if you stay at low damage, like 1 or 2, you won't be able to, like, you can keep like 10k shields that Force clans can run on like the side, like Lom, Interceptor X, or Madceptor X, or Gallatin, and intercept with Tom. So that could work too. Or you get like the base power increase from damage triggers, either or. But Gize, it's just so hard to counterplay against it. It just like, it just turns into a completely different game, where if you have a boss monster or anything that uses a counterblast, you're not going to be able to use it at all.
Right.
Ever. They're not going to damage you.
I'm in agreement, and I kind of hate to say the same answer, but I can at least throw a twist on it by giving a different idea on what they could do.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually saw one person suggest this, and it was, you cannot use Neon Gize in the same deck that you have imaginary gifts.
That's okay, but with OTT Gize in particular, the reason why Gize runs so well with it is all the Scry rear guards you have.
Well, including CEO and Imperial Daughter, though. And those are really important.
But I'm saying Coco, Farfall, and Meme.
Right.
You can run 4 of those each, and those can all scry for you. And Satorhime can scry as well if you're at a grade 3. So I don't know. I think the whole deck makes Gize broken.
It wasn't even Tom. That was the interesting part. I don't even think OTT Gize runs Tom.
You're not supposed to, because you're not supposed to damage.
Of course, yeah. You're not even going to be getting them to 5.
Exactly.
It's a little bit tough. What else do you think that they could do? I mean, There was a large amount of blaster decks that were used. I don't know if there could be any restrictions there.
I think if they get rid of Gize, I think if we all accept that premium is just gonna be this mess of super broken combos and that we should just run with it, then...
Just 40,000 blaster Flogel restanding.
But I think Gize is the only thing that makes premium unhealthy.
Okay. And then for one final question, because I think this is interesting, is we have some clans that don't have imaginary gifts suggested for them yet. And what is one prediction that you think you can make for it?
I think I'm just going to speak from one of the main clans that I played, Great Nature. If it had the choice between, I think I'd probably go with Excel to get more resources on the board, because especially in premium standard, being able to restand a unit on the Excel circle with Big Belly and Crayon Tiger would be pretty good.
That would be good.
Protect, we keep a lot of cards in our hand. I could see it either being Protect or Excel, but I guess my answer to that question is Excel for Great Nature.
Okay. I know for mine is, I'll give two, which I feel like an obvious one would be Gear Chronicle being Force. I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because what I want for Gear Chronicle is I want it to be focusing on either restanders or restanding vanguards. I think it'll be interesting. Another hot take, interesting one that I could do is Narukami.
Mm-hmm.
I think Narukami could be Excel, just because if they were to do exactly what they did before, they would be kind of a Kagura 2.0. So I'm hoping that they give the chance to reinvent Narukami.
The problem is so many clans are going to force that Narukami is just going to be Yeah, it's going to be this kind of weird classification, but we're going to see, because I don't know, Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion, which we know in the manga is the ace card of Naoki, having 12,000 power, that might be a little awkward for that
guy. And I don't want it to turn into a situation where it's just every good clan is Force. Except for like those broken Protect names.
We'll touch on our previous question real quick because we didn't do standard. I think standard's fine.
I think standard's fine too. Maybe something with the only crazy ones that I could think of is some sort of limit to Waterfall Gaius's 3 damage in turn. But it's slightly healthy because of the play style and how you can play against it. And then protect hand restrictions in the future, depending on what happens. Not more than 2 though. But I agree, standard's healthy. Those are just the only crazy things that they could do in the future if it becomes unhealthy for some reason.
I think Bushi's going to leave it alone right now and just focus on premium standard.
There's nothing they have to really need to do.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting though. So we'll see that in 2 days, and we'll come back to review that in the next episode that we do, of course. So this is Klaus and Nem signing off.
See you later.
All right, bye.